In the vast, unforgiving expanse of the Himalayas, where icy winds howl through jagged peaks and darkness lurks in every crevasse, there exists a legend that has haunted the dreams of mountaineers and locals alike for centuries. A creature so terrifying, so elusive, that its very name sends shivers down the spines of even the bravest souls. For generations, whispered tales of a massive, hair-covered beast stalking the frozen wasteland have persisted. But what truth lies behind these stories? What unspeakable horror might be waiting, watching, in the shadows of the world's highest mountains? The roots of the Yeti myth stretch back into antiquity. In 326 BC, Alexander the Great, a conqueror of empires, demanded to see one of these creatures during his campaign in the Indus Valley. Even then, the Yeti's reputation preceded it at being so fearsome that it could not survive at lower altitudes, or so the local people claimed. It was in the 19th century that the legend truly began to take shape in the Western imagination. In 1832, an article in the Journal of the Asiatic Society of Bengal described a terrifying encounter with a creature that would later be known as the Yeti. As explorers pushed deeper into the Himalayas, reports of the creature became more frequent and more chilling. Footprints in the snow, fleeting glimpses of a massive, ape-like figure, and the bone-chilling howls echoing through mountain passes, all added to the growing mythos of the abominable snowman. In 1951, the Yeti legend reached fever pitch. Eric Shipton, a respected mountaineer attempting to scale Mount Everest, captured photographs that would become the most compelling evidence of the Yeti's existence to date. The images showed massive footprints in the snow, with distinct toes and a shape unlike any known animal. These prints, found at 20,000 feet, where no human could survive for long, sent shockwaves through the scientific community and the public imagination. But what could have made these prints? Some argued they were proof positive of the Yeti's existence. Others claimed they were nothing more than the distorted tracks of a mundane creature, warped by the melting snow. The truth, as always in the realm of cryptozoology, remained elusive and unsettling. As the 20th century progressed, reports of Yeti encounters became more frequent and more detailed. In 1942, two hikers reported seeing two black specks moving across the snow from a quarter-mile away. Despite the considerable distance, they provided a chillingly specific description. The height was not much less than 8 feet. The heads were described as squarish, and the ears must lie close to the skull because there was no projection from the silhouette against the snow. The shoulders sloped sharply down to a powerful chest, covered by reddish-brown hair which formed a close body fur mixed with long straight hairs hanging downward. This account, like many others, painted a picture of a creature both familiar and alien, a being that straddled the line between man and beast, real and imaginary.
Everest conquered, the New Zealander Edmund Hillary got his first mail and congratulatory telegrams from George Lowe, a fellow countryman and expedition colleague. Thus, 35 miles from Kathmandu, capital of Nepal, Hillary and Tenzing were welcomed and congratulated by their fellow members of the expedition.
And what a bewildering experience it must all be for the Sherpa Tenzing, to be carried from a remote mountain village and plunged into a welter of official receptions and speeches. Tenzing brought the family along to share in the excitements, but for all of them the ordeal wasn't over. For now came the inevitable questioning about that moment of near disaster when Tenzing's presence of mind saved his friend and colleague from a fatal fall.
Tenzing and I had been climbing together a good deal, and I think we've become a fairly happy pair. And this was just one example of how a pair roped together are a unit, and how one is always protecting the other. I was leading down the icefall, and when I was crossing a crevasse, a large lump of ice gave way on which I was standing, and I set off down a crevasse. Well, Tenzing, who was following, had the rope tight in a very short time and pulled me up, so I didn't go very far.
And how did Tenzing feel up there on top of the world?
He's very happy.
In 1953, Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay, during their historic ascent of Mount Everest, reported seeing large, unexplained footprints in the snow. This sighting by such respected climbers lent new credibility to the Yeti legend. However, Hillary would later become skeptical of Yeti reports. Tenzing Norgay's stance was more complex. In his first autobiography, he claimed his father had seen the Yeti twice. But in a later book, he expressed doubts about its existence. The conflicting accounts of these legendary climbers only deepened the mystery surrounding the abominable snowman. What had they really seen on the roof of the world? And what secrets did the local Sherpa guides, who had lived in these mountains for generations, still keep? The Pangboche hand was originally housed in the Pangboche Monastery, near Mount Everest in Nepal. This monastery, founded in the 17th century, is considered a holy place in the region. The hand itself was a mummified appendage, believed by locals to have come from a Yeti. It was described as having elongated fingers and unusual proportions, which fueled speculation about its origin. For the people of the Himalayas, the Yeti is more than just a cryptid. It's a figure deeply embedded in local folklore and Buddhist traditions. The Pangboche hand, along with other alleged Yeti relics in the region, served as a ritual object connected to the luck and safety of the monastery. This reflects the complex relationship between local beliefs, religious practices, and the Yeti legend. The story of the Pangboche hand took a controversial turn in 1958. Peter Byrne, an explorer searching for evidence of the Yeti, visited the monastery and saw the hand. Intrigued, he shared the story with Professor William Osman Hill and Tom Slick, a Texas oil heir funding Yeti expeditions. What happened next is a matter of some debate. According to one version, Byrne, Hill, and Slick devised a plan to steal a finger from the hand for scientific testing. Hill allegedly provided a human finger as a replacement. Byrne's 2011 account claims he negotiated with the lamas, who agreed to give him a finger in exchange for a replacement and a donation to the temple. Regardless of the exact details, a finger from the Pangboche hand was removed and smuggled out of Nepal, with a human finger left in its place. Professor Hill examined the smuggled finger and initially declared it of human origin. Subsequent tests yielded inconclusive results, and Hill himself later expressed doubts about his initial assessment. In 2011, DNA analysis was performed on the finger by the Royal Zoological Society of Scotland. The results showed that the DNA was human. This finding, while disappointing for Yeti enthusiasts, provided some closure to the scientific aspect of the mystery. In 1991, shortly after the Pangboche hand was featured on the TV show Unsolved Mysteries, the entire hand, including the replaced human finger, was stolen from the monastery. Its current whereabouts remain unknown. Mike Alsop, a New Zealand mountaineer, has led efforts to return the hand to Pangboche. He created a website called Return the Hand to raise awareness about the theft. Alsop even commissioned the creation of a replica hand to help restore some income to the monastery, which had previously relied on donations from visitors coming to see the original relic. The saga of the Pangboche hand illustrates the complex interplay between local beliefs, scientific inquiry, and the allure of cryptozoological mysteries. While DNA evidence suggests the hand was human, its cultural significance to the people of Pangboche remains undeniable. The theft of the hand not only robbed the monastery of a sacred relic, but also deprived researchers of the opportunity to conduct more thorough, modern analyses of the complete artifact. In 1986, Anthony Wooldridge, a hiker in the Himalayas, claimed to have seen a Yeti-like figure standing in the snow about 500 feet away. He even managed to take photographs, which were later analyzed and deemed genuine. But what did Wooldridge see? Was it the elusive Yeti, or a trick of light and shadow in the unforgiving mountain landscape? Scientists have proposed various explanations for Yeti sightings, ranging from misidentified bears to mass hallucinations brought on by altitude sickness. The Yeti legend taps into something primal in the human psyche, our fear of the unknown, our fascination with the monstrous, and our need to believe that there are still mysteries in the world. For the people of the Himalayas, the Yeti is more than just a cryptid. It's a figure of danger in their folklore, a warning against the perils of the wilderness. The Yeti represents the untamed, unknowable aspects of nature, a reminder that in the highest, most remote places on Earth, humans are not the apex predator. These stories serve a purpose beyond mere entertainment. They bind communities together, pass on important survival knowledge, and give shape to the ineffable dangers of the mountains. The legend of the Yeti, the abominable snowman, persists because it speaks to something fundamental in the human experience. It reminds us that despite our technological advancements, there are still dark corners of the world where ancient terrors might lurk. Whether the Yeti is a flesh and blood creature, a case of mistaken identity, or a purely psychological phenomenon, its impact on our collective imagination is undeniable. So the next time you find yourself in the mountains, and the wind carries a sound that might be a howl, or you see a shadow move in ways that shadows shouldn't, remember the Yeti. Remember that we are not alone in the highest, coldest places on Earth. And something might be watching. Thank you for watching the Afterlife Research Project, Project Abominable Snowman. Next Monday, join us for a journey into that old-time abracadabra. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.